A8. Hashtag car darts. Subtitle, hashtag tagging from TechSpot.com and hashtag for future husband hard heart. Subtitle, hashtag step from tonight's conversation cards. And Quindon Tarver will actually be our underrated hype TV A8 this week. His song, Wrap Your Heart Around Mine. Oh, yes. Ooh, circa 1996. Yes. And that's, let's, oh, for this week on hashtag Verse TV 256 A8. Yes. All right. And okay, fine. That's fine. And let's start with a random question. So for the 256, I'll press it 2 times first. And what do you look up to of the same sex? Up to of the same sex. Wow. Okay. I was going to say legs because I am a leg man, leg and face. But as far as what I look up to about men, so I think this question can be taken in a sexual direction, but I don't think it has to be taken in a sexual direction. So I will say, what is something that I look up to about men? And I feel that, you know what? I'll make it even more specific. And no, I don't want to do that. I will say that I believe all people, regardless of gender, can have a stick to itiveness that is quite admirable. Very much. Especially in times, oh my gosh. And I was just speaking with an Uber driver about this yesterday, actually, the day before yesterday. But we can't give up. When times get tough, we've got to keep moving, keep going. And I admire that in people, men, women, whatever, everybody in between, everybody outside of. I admire that. That is something that I look up to in people, regardless of gender. So they say the same gender. I am a man. I, again, I feel that these things all apply to people of all genders. Period. Yes, they can. Being able to push through difficult times and come out on the other side winner. I could take a whole lot of time going deeply into this topic, but I won't because suffice it to say, I was going to, yeah, things. I've had some obstacles in my life, have had, and have. And I'm overcoming. Hallelujah. Mm. Yes. Okay. The song for this week is an older song. So I do older song, newer song, older song, newer song. The older song this week is none other than 1970 Aretha Franklin's song Call Me when she sings from her album This Girl's in Love with You. And I think it's such a beautiful song. And because basically the entire song is just her repeating, I love you to her partner. And it's so beautiful. And I remember when I was understanding the lyrics, and there's a part of the song, well, not a part of the song. Again, the whole song repeats, I love you. She says, I love you. I love you. I love you too. And it's, of course, I think about my baby, my love. And I even put that for him on a speaker, like video. No, it wasn't a video chat, but audio recording. And I was speaking with the Queen, Aretha Franklin, saying, I love you. I love you. And I love you too. And I realized she says, I love you too, because she's speaking to him. Aretha Franklin is a heterosexual woman. So speaking to him, and he says, I love you back to her. And she's like, I love you too. And oh my gosh, I'm about to make myself cry just thinking about it. It's such a beautiful song. I think they said it was a #1 hit back in the day, but it's such a beautiful song, such a, does it say, I love you? I love you. I love you too. Oh my gosh, I love that song. Aretha Franklin gives everything. Queen Aretha Franklin. Yes. Yes. So, moving on, are you all ready for topic A8A? Hashtag Verse TV week 256 A8. Like, share, subscribe, and share again. Thank you so very much. And those are the topics that we're going into this week. Let's go in. Let's go. Hashtag car darts. Hashtag tagging. TechSpot.com. Hashtag First TV A8A. TechSpot. Police are using GPS tracking darts to tag fleeing vehicles and avoid dangerous pursuits. From the scenes of Hollywood to a street near you. By Sean Knight, March 29th, 2024. Tag, you're it. Police departments across the country are exploring safer alternatives to risky car chases, drawing inspiration from technology commonly depicted in spy movies to achieve their objectives. The Old Westbury Police Department in New York has implemented a novel approach to address fleeing vehicles during car chases. They have outfitted some cruisers with vehicle-mounted launchers that deploy foam projectiles containing heat-activated sticky glue from a company called Star Chase. Article continues below. So I almost dropped my microphone on the ground. And this is funny, but it's horribly not funny, but I'm sharing this to sort of relate because I almost dropped it on the ground and I was like, oh gosh, if I drop this microphone on the ground, it could potentially take me through that entire video trying to pick it up. So fortunately I did, and I sort of now I'm making myself sad. Anyway, so yes, as far as that sticky stuff, at first, when I heard about this, I think Daily Chirp, I subscribed to Daily Chirp, and they mentioned it, and I was like, ooh, well, let me look that thing up and see what it's all about. And I was like, yes, it's a thumbs up to be able to just, when somebody's running away, to just put something on their car and you'll be able to track the car. Later in the article, and the reason I particularly felt that way very strongly about it is chase scenes in movies, because they speak about that in the article. Chase scenes in movies, they make no sense. And so many people can be hurt. So many innocent bystanders, so many casualties in movies and in real life. So I was like, it's good that they have this thing that can prevent, lower car chases. Car chases are still a real thing. And I remember this one time, speaking of car chases, one time I went to visit Kevin back when I think we both lived in Maryland at that time, or maybe I was in Maryland. Or maybe he was in Maryland. I was in DC. But I went to visit him in Greenbelt. And coming back from his house, we witnessed a getaway car. And I particularly want to talk about this because it was so interesting. The getaway driver was a woman. And I'm like, wow, okay. Part of me wants to say you don't see that every day, but you do. You see it in movies like Set It Off and Thelma and Louise, all of that. And it's like, so clearly it does happen. And I remember we were at the red light going this way. I'll say going west. Yes, we were going west on 193. Those who know about Maryland and PG County know 193. And we were going west on 193, and she was going east. And she ran straight through the red light, and not ran through the red light like, oh, just kind of almost missed the yellow light, and oh, well, it ended up being the red light. Oh, sorry, y'all, as I speed off. But no, like she went through the light like it had been red for like 3 to 5 seconds, and then she just came through, bow. And I remember, fortunately, the cars going north and south had missed her, and they stopped. And I was like, why are those cars stopping? And then I look, and I guess it's kind of an emotional moment just thinking about it. And she sped through the traffic, and she was followed by the cops who eventually caught her or whatever. And it's complicated because that could have been ended very badly. I think they caught her before she had an accident or something like that. But still, like she just flew through that red light, like 3 to 5 seconds late. 3, 5, McDonald 35. That's why I went to high school. Anyway, but yeah, she just sped through that red light 3 to 5 seconds late. So the east-west or the north-south people had already started going, and then they just stopped as she had to speed through. That's not right. That's not good. So, FYI, criminals, FYI, in case you didn't know. Yeah, wild and crazy kids. In case you didn't know, next time you try to run away in a getaway car, you're going to be tagged. So, what people will probably do is say, we've been tagged. We need to abandon this car right away. PDQ. Let's hop out. And it's like, that it never ends well. People running away from the cops, almost never ends well. And I'm reading the book. One of the books that I'm reading is Psychology of Money. And one of the things he talks about is how the slightly to significantly lower financial demographic is much more likely compared to others to buy lottery tickets. He's like, well, why do people buy lottery tickets? And he's like, well, it's because some people win. So as far as why do people run away from the cops, you have just as much a chance of winning a lottery ticket, but some people do get away. And some people get away just to, Ray William Johnson talked about this on one of his clips, how these people, they were hired by a husband, such a wild story, to kidnap his wife with the intent of the husband coming in and saving the day. But in the process of kidnapping the wife, they started getting tailed by the police, and they abandoned the car with her in the car, of course, right? And they abandoned the car and jumped into a moat trying to swim away from the cops, and they both drowned. And it's like, there's that lottery ticket again. You have lottery ticket chances of getting away, but chances are very much stacked against you that you won't get away alive. Anyway, but yeah, all of it. And they did mention a potential problem of when the chase is over and they abandon the car before they swim to their okay, people, I'm trying to encourage you to do the right thing, y'all, okay? But before they abandon their getaway car to swim to their death, they there's a possibility that they'll get out of the car and see the substance with the GPS tracker and just wipe that off the car, and that can lose the GPS tracking. But chances are, FYI, people, this is why it's so hard for criminals to get away with it. Because, FYI, when they tag you, I'm sure there's much more than just, and I am going to tell this story, there's much more than just that glue that's on your car, that's the GPS tracker. And I'm sure they have much more in terms of tracking the car. And as far as that's concerned, that reminds me of a story. Oh, okay, I have enough time. I remember, this is so cute, y'all. I was on my way to work and a cop pulled me over, like one of those, like, your tags are expired or one of those things. And I was like, oh no, officer, I'm sorry. I didn't know that. And I didn't realize this at the time, but I think whenever you get pulled over, your car they're able to hear inside of your car. And and this was in the day, like before I was even like fully out, like that was still in the days when I was trying to be somebody I was not, long story shortened. But I remember he pulled me over and said those things, and he was like, license and registration. I was like, okay, sir. And he was like, okay, I have to return to my car right quick. And he came back to my car with such a huge Kool-Aid smile on. I was like, did he hear what I was saying? Because I didn't realize what I was saying while he was back running my tags and everything, I was like, ah, this is such an inconvenience because I'm on my way to work and I don't have time. But at least the man who's pulled me over is an absolutely beautiful, uh, he's absolutely beautiful because I was quite attracted to him. And, beautiful chocolate, uh, mm, just everything. And I was like, well, at least he's the person who's pulled me over and is taking my time is absolutely beautiful. And when he came back to the car, he had a big Kool-Aid smile and he was like extra, extra helpful. And he was, maybe it was a light. I had a light out or something. Yes. And he was like, hey, I can guide you to a place to get that fixed right quick. Would you like us to go? And I was like, okay, yes. And it wasn't like this is a sexual thing, but he drove in front of me and guided me to the gas station and to get it repaired. Anyway, but I realized after I said all that, I'm like, oh, when they pull you over, they must hear what you say in your car. And I get it. That makes sense because some people would probably be like, hide the weed back when weed was illegal, or hide the heroin, hide the heroin, put it under the seat, put it under the seat. And then they come back to the car and they're like, let me look under your seat, stupid. But again, criminals, you need to understand you're not going to get away. You have a lottery ticket chance of getting away. And I get it for the same reason that in the book, it talks about people with less money. And I've been one of those lottery ticket people too. So I'm not hating. Trust me, I'm not hating. But people with less money are more inclined to spend hundreds of dollars on lottery tickets a month in the hopes that, oh, well, I just need that one chance, and it can change my entire life for a number of years. And that's not funny either. That's awful, actually, because I'm not going to go into all of that anyway. But yeah, it's difficult. Yes, he was beautiful. He was absolutely beautiful. And I'm sure cops may get that quite often because I was like, girl, this is such an inconvenience. I'm trying to get to work and I don't know if I was running late or that made me late or what, but I was like, at least he's absolutely beautiful. Anyway, all right. So next topic, like, share, subscribe, and click like again. Like, share, subscribe, share again. Don't forget to click like. Um, yeah. Hashtag for future husband, heart, heart. Hashtag step at tonight's conversation. Hashtag Verse TV A8B. Could you date a person with children? If so, are you prepared to be a step parent if things progress? Yes. Now, because I was not before. And I remember two people in particular that I dated, one guy and one woman. Why would Aaron date a woman? She was the woman that I dated when I really didn't want to be gay, y'all. And not I had convinced myself, but just I'll say from what I heard, I was like, what I need to do is to live a heterosexual life or because I said, okay, well, maybe what I can do is be with a woman as long as I am upfront with her about the fact that I am also attracted to men. But I would be, what's the word, monogamous with her, you know. But, and that's just reality of the whole thing because I'm not as, I was like, I can be with her as long as I am monogamous with her because I'm not that big on sex. I'm not. I often playfully mention my sexual exploration thought days where I had a lot of physical interactions with a lot of men. I asked a lot of D's, but that's because I was just looking for love in all the wrong bedrooms. True, and I'll talk about this. Oh my gosh. I was looking for love in all the wrong bedrooms, and I get it. It works for some people. It never worked for me. Some people are like, I had sex with my boyfriend on the very first night. I met him, and the minute I met him, I kissed him, and then 5 seconds later, I had my legs spread, and he was entering. And now we're still together. 10 years later, still married. And it's like, I get it. It works for some people. It never worked that way for me. Having sex on the first night never made a man want to stick around for me. Yeah. I have this discussion with my love, my heart, who this whole segment is dedicated to. And maybe y'all can leave this opinion in the comments, like whatever you think about this. I know that I've said to him, I've been like, when we finally do meet, maybe we should not physically engage on the first night. Like deliberately exercise um some patience and not do it on the first night. Even though at this point we've been dating for, it'll be like, anyway, oh my gosh. It's been a long time that we've been dating. So it's not the same. And he's like, I don't think it's the same. I think it would be okay if that's where the mood took us. Let's get the mood right. Turn off the candlelight. Johnny Gill, oh my gosh. Like I was 12 or 13 when he released that song. And oh my gosh, going back to that music video, Let's Get the Mood Right by Johnny Gill, he is so beautiful. Oh my gosh. Anyway, yes, he is. And he's only 25. Oh my gosh. I'm talking about all these men, y'all. But so what I will say, as far as the woman, right? She had a child. And I remember she introduced me to her baby, who was a baby at that time. And I was like, hey, baby. And I felt awkwardly because I was like, you know what? If things don't work out with her and she and I, or whatever, okay. If things don't work out with her, she don't work out with he, things don't work out with she and she, her. Yes. Okay. Sorry, y'all. Oh my gosh. But if things don't work out with the two of us, then that's particularly a problem because she has the kid. And like, what if we were in this relationship and things wonderfully worked for X number of years, which was longer than any of my relationships at that point. FYI, I've been with my baby love, my precious heart, longer than that now. He is my longest relationship to date. So, yes. And I was like, what if I make it with her a while and this baby grows up? And then next thing you know, I'm like, things go south and we need to part. It's very difficult to part once you've built a bond with a child as well. So I did step out shortly after that. I was like, you know what, I can't do this. And I don't remember what I said to her, but I was like, I don't think we should do this. And we were both young. We were what, mid 20s? Because I was, yes. Yeah, I was still living in Charles Village. So I was like 24, 25. And I particularly remember the one time that my mom dated somebody who I guess she had dated him long enough to take him home to meet me. And I remember I gave he and my mom a special like little stuffed animal show, very clearly gay. So maybe that was part of the reason he was uncomfortable. But I was a little kid and I showed them that little show and never saw him again. And that really, I was like, and I don't think I weighed heavily on this because it was only in my life once, that one time. And I think I might have asked my mom maybe once. So whatever happened to, I don't know, whatever his name, but whatever happened to him? And I think that my mom took that as a sign that, you know what? I cannot date anyone until my son is grown. And that is so difficult. Single parents are in such a complicated place. Now, yes, my mom and dad were married before I was born. Yes, right? And they separated after I was born and divorced after that. And but nevertheless, at the end of the day, she was still a single mother, you know, and it's so complicated because imagine that's what she said because she did not date anyone, anyone for no, my entire childhood. Wow. That sigh represents a lot. There's a lot to that sigh, suffice it to say. But yes. Ah, yeah. And I didn't want to be that dude to this woman. I almost said her name, but I'm glad I didn't. But I didn't want to be that dude who stepped into and then walked out of the life of her and her child. Now, does a single mother need love? Absolutely. Everybody needs love. Every single person needs love. That's what makes the world go round. Anyway, but yeah, I didn't want to be the guy who walked out after X amount of time. And I remember one of my friends actually did date a dude who was a single father, and they dated a lot, and they were gonna get married and everything, I think. And he's like, that dude would cheat on my friend, right? He would cheat. He would cheat. The dude, the single father, would cheat. And he would do that to my friend. And when my friend would be like, okay, I'm out, he would say, but what about JR? I don't know the kid's name, but what about, yeah, sure, I'll say JR. What about JR? You can't leave us both. And my friend was like, he bought that a few times. And there were a few times that he was like, don't walk out on us, please. And my friend stayed because of that. But when he continued to cheat, my friend was like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm sorry. But there are people who use their child as leverage to hold a relationship longer than it should be held. That's an unfortunate truth. Now, there was this other dude who I dated. I remember I dated him like a little bit before her. And he also had a child. And I remember when he was beautiful. She was beautiful too, right? Sure. He was beautiful. And I remember feeling awkward for many of the same reasons that I felt later on with her, the woman, and that I was like, I don't know. And his daughter was a little bit, I think by saying daughter, I might have revealed too much. But anyway, if you so happen to watch, nobody knows I'm talking about you. But his child was a little bit older. So, very much the age of being able to remember who's walked into and walked out of her father's life. So, for me, that was I don't know, because, yeah, his daughter, sorry, was about the same age that I was when that man walked into my mom's life and then walked out of her life. And I was like, whatever happened to him? And that's when my mom was like, I can't date. Anyway, I will say this as far as happy endings. I remember being in my mid 30s, and I think we actually follow each other on Facebook. But again, I don't necessarily think he's going to watch. But he is married now, and they had beautiful wedding photos, and he and his husband looked absolutely debonair, and his daughter. And I remember when I first saw that was back in my single days. I was like, oh wow, if I didn't run away from him and his daughter, that could have possibly been me getting married to my husband and us raising a kid. Although at that age, the kid, child, offspring was the daughter, right? I already said it once, so I already said it. But the daughter, she was probably like a teenager at that point, so it wasn't the same. Still, it's like I was like, Aaron, if you didn't walk out on him when he was younger, you could have been the one getting married. Anyway, but it is what it is. It is what it is. And their beautiful family is what's meant to be. Meant to be. I spelled it MINT to make it a little smaller for the notes, but is what meant to be. And I wish her well as well. We were in touch in my mid 30s, and she was like, yeah, maybe we could work things out. And at that time, I had a boyfriend. And she was like, you and your boyfriend, me, and my child. And I feel badly because that kind of is, in retrospect, notice that she hadn't found someone yet. Anyway, she is the only female that I romantically kissed. And I sing Katy Perry's song when she's like, I kissed a boy and I liked it. And I sing, I kissed a girl, it was okay. But yeah. Anyway, I wish her well. I wish him and his husband and their daughter, yes, well. And as far as having children, yes, I had a long journey of singleness. But I that's who this segment is all about. I have a future husband, and we are in the talks of how we'll raise our family. It's so expensive nowadays, ridiculous. We're going to make it happen. I love you, baby. I got it. I think that was the right sound. I don't know. But I know that I love you. Yes. Anyway, all right. And for our wrap up topic, it's about Quentin Tarver. I have a lot to say about this.
Hashtag underrated hype TVA8 Quentin Tarver Wrap Your Heart Around Mine circa 1996 underrated hype TV hashtag verse TV A8C.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I know all of these underrated hype TVs. I start off with, I have loved that song for years. It is true. I have loved that song for years. And I remember I discovered that album by Quentin in college, right? Like I was getting CDs from the CD Game Exchange. And I think they actually have a branch of CD Game Exchange here in Cleveland. Anyway, but I'd get, because my entire CD collection was stolen from me my freshman year by the marvelous people anyway, they stole my entire CD collection when my luggage was lost. Anyway, because in order to verify it was my luggage, they were like, tell me what's in your bag. Okay, we're going to take what we want and we'll give back whatever else we don't want. And that's what they did. Anyway, but yeah, I discovered that album in college, and that song connected with me particularly at that time when he talks about wrap your heart around mine, because I'd be like, oh, I need to find a man to wrap my heart around so we can take the pain away. And I was like, that'll be so beautiful. And yes, I acknowledge that Quindon, it's the name of the singer, he was 14 at the time he sang that album, but that was 96. So Quindon is an 82 baby. And I think I've followed him on his Instagram first, and he turned around and followed me. And I was like, this beautiful. Okay. My this beautiful man is following me on Instagram. And he is openly rainbow, because on his Instagram, he had a rainbow, and I was rainbow flag. And I was like, oh, wow, he's doing a lot more than a lot of other similarly aged people. And I thought that was so cool of him. And in my mind, in my imagination, he was just my boyfriend. And we were together, and we were a couple because of the fact that we followed each other on Instagram. Anyway, but yeah, and if you look his name up, what you will find a lot of articles and topics discussing is the fact that, yes, he did pass away in a car crash in 2021. And hmm, that's tough. And I remember I took that kind of hard, particularly because, like I said, he's one of my imaginary boyfriends. He's absolutely beautiful man. And I felt really bad when I heard that. Anyway, I was watching an interview with him as an adult. And FYI, he did audition for American Idol or something. It's somewhere out there. But he did audition for American Idol. And also, as far as his background, the young kid version of him, you might recognize him because he was the kid singer in the movie Romeo and Juliet in the choir. And I think they say in the movie he sung When Doves Cry by Prince and stuff. But yeah, he's really good. Excellent. And in the interview, he said, yeah, a lot has changed since I was that age. And one of the things he said was he has vitiligo. He's like, back when I was a kid, I didn't, but now as an adult, I do. And he also explained that he was molested. And I particularly want to speak to this because he was molested in the industry. So, and I was talking with a dude about this just yesterday. It's almost like a whole lot of off, and I say this because it's not like you heard about that. But he said in the interview, I was molested when I was a little kid by a higher up in the industry. That industry, it's so awful what they put people through. And a lot of that's done by a lot of people, a lot. of people. And that's awful because he said that it made him stop singing for a while. And he was like, yeah, when that happened, I'm sorry. He said, when that happened to me, I just stopped singing. I was like, you know what? Never mind. Why would you do that to a kid? So, what I was talking about with the guy yesterday is how such things are very common in the industry, but it's almost like everybody knows who does it, but they won't tell on you until you cross somebody. Then they'll tell on you. So that MFer who molested Quindon as a kid, he must not have crossed anybody because we still don't know who that is to this day. But it's just wrong. And I'm glad Quindon returned to singing for a time. And if, and I know that this is not, I'm not trying to promote underrated hype TV, even though that's is one of my channels. It's if you view that video on underrated hype TV, the video starts off with some images of the young then grown Quindon. And let me tell y'all, Quindon is fine. Yes, he is. And let me say this. I don't have much time. Very quickly, I'll say, and again, this is another benefit of having a mental health counselor who has a husband. Because I spoke with her and I was like, yeah, so upon marrying my love, my heart, is it okay? Like, if I find somebody else attractive, is that a bad thing? Like, should I spank my hand or something? And what she said is she's like, she and her husband have the understanding that beautiful people are all over the world. And you can acknowledge that. The issue is do not go any farther than just acknowledging the person is beautiful. And that's it. So, yeah, Quindon is beautiful. And yes, Quindon Tarver sings his butt off. And yeah, I love that song. The album is actually good. A lot of songs on that album are favorites of mine, very much. And I wish, I wish against wish. Let's see. Never mind. So I think it's almost a joke how it happened. Let's see if I can look at it up close. And once again, something will pop in the way of the notification notice of the time. Anyway, all right, hashtag Verse TV family. Yes, that was. I don't think I have enough time for a whole wrap up. Talk to y'all later. Peace. Hashtag VerseTV.com. Stay blessed. All right.